a lonely robot may have just stumbled onto one of the most exciting space souvenirs ever found on Mars. NASA's Perseverance rover, which has been exploring the red planet for about 5 years, appears to have spotted its very first meteorite resting on the Martian surface. Scientists noticed an odd-looking rock that stood taller and appeared more sculpted than the flatter, more broken rock scattered around it, immediately flagging it as something worth a closer look. The strange rock was first seen on September 2, Mission Day, or Sol 1612 on Mars, by Perseverance's left mast CAM-Z camera, which sits high on the rover's mast like a head with eyes. At Sol is a Martian day, and it runs a bit longer than a day here on Earth, so each Sol marks a unique step in the rover's long trek across the Jezero crater region. To make it easier for the public and the mission team to talk about interesting places and targets, the Perseverance team gives them informal nicknames. This suspected meteorite has been dubbed Phippsaksla, borrowing its name from a location in Svalbard, Norway. The area where the rock was found has also been named Venodden, another Svalbard-inspired label that fits into the rover's naming theme. Here's where it gets especially intriguing. If confirmed, this would be Perseverance's first meteorite discovery, but Mars has hosted plenty of these cosmic visitors before. Earlier rovers have already found several metallic meteorites sitting on the Martian ground, suggesting that chunks of space rock regularly slam into Mars and sometimes remain relatively intact. A quick refresher: asteroids are large chunks of rock orbiting the Sun, often made of leftover material from the early days of the Solar System about 4.5 billion years ago, before planets and moons fully formed. Smaller pieces that break off from asteroids are called meteoroids. When one of these meteoroids survives its fiery plunge through a planet's or moon's atmosphere and lands on the surface, it earns a new name: a meteorite. Think of meteorites as tiny time capsules carrying clues from the very beginning of our solar system. Perseverance is not the first NASA rover to play meteorite hunter on Mars. Its older cousin, the Curiosity rover, has been exploring a different region known as Gale Crater since 2012 and has uncovered multiple iron-nickel meteorites along the way. Among the most famous are Lebanon, a hefty rock roughly 39 inches, about 1 meter, across, found in 2014, and Cacao, another metallic meteorite discovered in 2023. These finds showed that Mars' surface can preserve space rocks for long periods, giving scientists natural samples of ancient material. Even earlier, NASA's Mars exploration rovers, Opportunity and Spirit, were already spotting space rocks during their missions. Opportunity operated from 2004 to 2018, while Spirit was active from 2004 until 2011. Both of these trailblazing robots found iron-nickel meteorites as they rolled across the Martian terrain. Because of that history, many scientists were actually surprised that Perseverance hadn't found a clear meteorite candidate sooner, especially given how long it has been exploring. And this is the part most people miss: for roughly the past year, Perseverance has been slowly working its way around the rim of Jezero crater, the site where it landed. Researchers have suggested that this crater should be a promising place for meteorites. Jezero is thought to be similar in age to Gale Crater and is peppered with smaller impact craters, which hints that meteorites have likely been falling and accumulating on its floor, its ancient river delta, and along the crater rim over very long periods of time. Despite the excitement, tracking down meteorites is not Perseverance's main job, it's more like a side quest. The rover's primary mission is far more ambitious: to search for signs that life may have once existed on Mars and to collect rock and soil samples that could one day be brought back to Earth. It landed in Jezero Crater, a 28-mile wide, about 45-kilometer wide basin that once likely hosted a lake and river system, making it a prime location to hunt for evidence of ancient microbial life. Recently, mission scientists announced that Perseverance has detected intriguing chemical patterns in some of the rocks it has sampled. These patterns might hint at interactions between sediments and organic molecules, carbon-based compounds that are sometimes associated with life, but can also form through non-biological processes. The big catch? Perseverance carries a limited set of instruments, so while it can identify promising clues, it cannot definitively confirm whether these signatures are biological in origin. That's why returning these samples to Earth is such a big deal and, yes, a bit controversial. Only in advanced laboratories here at home can scientists run the full suite of tests needed to truly determine whether Mars once hosted life. Some experts argue that a Mars sample return mission is essential and worth the high cost and complexity. Others question whether the enormous investment is justified when there are so many competing priorities in space exploration and here on Earth. Where do you stand? Should humanity spend billions to answer the life on Mars question once and for all? Beyond the mission itself, there are people on Earth whose careers revolve around telling these stories. Elizabeth Howell, Ph.D., has spent years covering spaceflight and planetary exploration. She worked as a staff writer focusing on spaceflight topics between 2022 and 2024 and contributed to Space.com for a decade, from 2012 to 2024. Over that time, she has landed exclusive interviews with the White House, helped lead global coverage of a quirky lost and found tomato on the International Space Station, watched 5 human space launches on 2 continents, flown on a parabolic flight, those brief weightless arcs, tested life inside a spacesuit, and even participated in a simulated Mars mission. Her latest book, Why Am I Taller?, published in 2022 by ECW Press and co-written with astronaut Dave Williams, explores how life in space affects the human body in surprising ways. It offers readers a deeper look at how spaceflight changes astronauts physically and what those changes can teach us about medicine and human health back on Earth. So here's a question to finish on: if Perseverance's samples eventually reveal clear evidence that life once existed on Mars, even if only microbes, how do you think that should change our priorities for exploring the solar system? Should we double down on Mars, or spread our attention to places like Europa and Enceladus too? Share whether you agree or disagree with heavy investment in Mars exploration, and why, in the comments.